Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Coos County Area Transportation District meeting. And I would like to welcome, Lauren Morris from the Advisory Committee, the following individuals from the Advisory Committee: Lauren Morris, Richard Rogers, Cynthia Ramirez, Michael Babcock, and guest with us today, Carrie Muth, and we also have Jennifer Boardman with us. Did I miss anyone?
Hello, Michael. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Are we good?
Chairman Thompson, you may proceed with the agenda.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're coming back now. Thank you everybody for being here again, members of the public, for this morning. We have no motions resulting from our executive session, and that moves us to item 4. Our board staff, are there any changes to our agenda today as presented? Hearing none, I'll take that as a no. Our agenda stands. And item 5 on our agenda is citizen comments on agenda items, limited to 3 minutes per person. Public comment in a meeting is a one-way communication where the public shares input on the record without expecting a dialogue or direct response. Melissa, would you please follow up or introduce any people we have to make a public comment? Or maybe if Carrie wants to, Carrie, you're here to make a public comment, you can go right ahead.
This is Michael. Are these public comments directly related to agenda items or any public comments? Because I think there may be a level of confusion there.
Okay, yes. Thank you. This is citizen comments on agenda items. So a comment on anything on our agenda, and then item 10 on our agenda today is citizen comments on non-agenda items. So a more public comment session for anything. So if we have no public comment on agenda items, we can move past that. Going once, twice, 3 times. Thank you so much. Board, we are going to move to our consent agenda, which has our board minutes from September 8th, a balance sheet for August 2025, and a ratification of payment for an EcoLane invoice. Board, is there any questions, comments, concerns on the consent agenda? If none, I would entertain a motion.
I so move, accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as presented. Board, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Abstentions. The motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, we have one item of old business, which is our Transit Center Mobility Hub update and timeline. And Melissa, will you be taking that? You're muted.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you. Go right ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, so we have some good news. So we have moved forward with signing the purchase agreement for the parcel located in Coos Bay at the corner of Newmark Avenue and LeClaire Street. This diagram shows an initial planning of the elements that we will be having at this location. We will have an administrative building. We'll have covered shelters. We'll have public restrooms. We'll have a bus washing station. And we will be having a hydrogen fueling station, and it will all be a fence around the perimeter. So in the evenings, we'll be able to secure the Transfer Center and Mobility Hub. And we are very excited about moving forward on this project. I would like to take this opportunity to kind of update you on where we've been and the next steps on our timeline. So back in July, we submitted our initial NEPA documentation to the Federal Transit Administration. And we then received FTA concurrence for the purchase. And so that happened at the end of August. And then we entered into what was called a letter of intent to purchase. And from there, then we had several other steps to go through before we actually signed a purchase agreement. The purchase agreement was signed a couple weeks ago, and we are awaiting hearing about the 5339 facility grant award that we requested $8 million. We hope to hear on that grant in the next month. We did receive our environmental support, and that was accepted by ODOT. We have submitted a preliminary endangered species report, but there is some follow-up that needs to take place, and I do need to hire another biologist. And then our initial report is being sent to the State Historic Preservation Office, and they're reviewing it for the concurrence on the shovel probe for archaeological items. And when we get support from, that's called SHPO, that's the abbreviation, from the SHPO office, then we will get then concurrence from the FTA office that we can do some land disturbance, which is that shovel probe for archaeology and the geotechnical report, which will inform us as to how deep the pier structure will need to be to support our construction and development, because liquefaction is a real thing in our part of the country. And so we want to make sure that we are building the proper supports for our foundations.
Melissa, I have a question. I know it might be stupid, but we entered an agreement to purchase. Did they accept the agreement?
Yes, yes.
So that means if someone asks me, are you building a mobility hut in Coos Bay? I could say it's on the corner of Newmark and LeClaire.
Yes.
Will all thing approved?
Yes. Right now we're in escrow.
Yeah, because I mean, I know it didn't say that they accepted it. And I would rather ask you and be goofy than just be confused. So it's an escrow and we're just waiting for the title company to give us the dog and pony show.
Yeah, so the title company is doing their work, and then we're doing our final work on the geotech and the endangered species. And so that's all going to culminate then at the end of January.
So question, is there a point where we actually come out with that, PSR, whatever it is, let the public know, have a nice little front page write-up or something?
Yeah, I was thinking for timing that we would do that once we complete escrow in January.
Excellent. Good answer.
And then we are anticipating that in February, we'll receive concurrence from FTA on development and construction. So there's lots of steps, lots of people involved. And we are just taking it one step at a time and moving forward. So we're very excited. And at this time, are there any questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I certainly have a comment. I think you've done an extremely impressive job on all these steps that we've taken so far, and I hope it continues to go well.
I just know we've gone to many managers that have thought about this wonderful idea, and obviously we're persistent, and we really appreciate everyone's effort in this procedure because it hasn't been easy. At least 15 years, maybe even 20.
Wonderful. I mean, I just want to say one of the first things I did on the advisory committee when I joined CCATD was sign on to the letter of support for the Transit Center Mobility Hub. And then a short time after, I testified in front of the Joint Transportation Infrastructure Committee for the state. And I talked about the importance of public infrastructure like this, especially for our county, and just being able to see all of the pieces come together and so seamlessly, so wonderfully. Melissa, just props and all the thank yous to you, all of the staff that have put in work to this. So just, I'm thrilled. It's the best word to say. So thank you.
Ditto.
Is there anything else? Wonderful. We will move on from that. Item 8, which is new business, to which we have none, which actually moves us to item 9, our general manager's report. And it looks like we've got some fun stuff in there. So I'll have to pass it again back to you, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you. So first off, update on our RFP to replace bus 216. We received 54,136 insurance for the replacement of bus 216, and it's our intent to augment that with our STIF funds. That's agreement 35836. Because in that STIF agreement, we do have funds marked for a vehicle replacement. So on 9/16, the district sent an RFQ out to the vendors on the state price agreement asking for vehicles with a seating of up to 10 passengers and 2 wheelchair stations. The due date was on Friday, October 10, and we did receive 2 responses. We did get the opportunity to go ahead and compare the 2 responses we got back. Shetsky offered the low bid at $150,935.82. And that included a custom built chassis that met all of our specification requirements. The second response did not meet all of our specified requirements. And I would also add that the delivery date expected from Shetsky is April of 2026. Staff recommends that we move forward with a purchase agreement from Shetsky. And at this time, I'd like to invite the board to entertain a motion.
I move to accept and move forward with the agreement from Shetsky.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead with the purchase agreement. Is there any further discussion from the board?
Yeah, so the bus that we had, that was 54,100, how much life did that one have left? Approximately.
It was at the end of its useful life.
So we're trading a used bus for a new bus plus some money on the side, basically.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
My question is, did we have a different bus earmarked for that replacement fund? And if so, what are we doing about that bus?
So thankfully, the state legislature did pass an increase in STIF funding. And so it's just a matter of prioritizing our infrastructure investments. And so we will, as a board, we'll be looking at our fleet overall and taking a look at which ones we should prioritize to roll off of inventory and be replaced.
And Melissa, didn't it usually take us about 1.5 years or 2 years to get a bus in the past?
It has. Yes, it has.
Because the board members need to be aware that when we order a bus, it just doesn't show up within a week or two.
No,
In the
I
past,
was,
it's been 1 year to 2.
yeah,
So
I
this
was
getting it in
surprised.
April is a miracle.
It is a miracle.
And what is that due to, would you say, in part? Oh.
I think the vendors are being more proactive in ordering their chassis.
Any other questions, comments, or discussions on this motion?
So does any local money come from, we don't get any support from Coos County, is that correct? We don't get any money from the property tax, we get nothing.
No,
They need to be aware that we're not getting any local money for when we buy stuff. We have to apply to get grants and stuff like that for everything in general, correct?
so I'm just going to clarify that STIF funds are is a payroll tax collected by the state and reallocated back out to the county. So it is Coos County payroll tax. It goes to the state and comes back to Coos County.
But it isn't, we don't get any property tax.
No, we
Any
don't.
water tax.
We are
any
not a
other-
taxing
So people
district.
need to realize that, yeah, we're not a taxing district, so we're actually technically not getting money from a property owner,
Correct.
correct?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Melissa, go ahead. Oh,
Is it-
okay.
Gary, are you going to call for the vote?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Then hearing no further discussion, I will call. The question, all in favor of moving forward with this purchase agreement, please say aye. Opposed, say no. Abstentions. The motion is adopted. Thank you.
The next item in my GM report is the update on the review of the fare cap in Coquille, Murder Point, and Bandon. You'll recall in September, the board of directors adjusted the fare caps in Coquille, Murder Point, as well as Bandon Coos Go services. Due to the service curtailment, moving to 2 days a week in those locations. Staff did a review of August and September fare records, and no one experienced a negative impact during that time when the fare ordinance did not align with the curtailment. Next item, the audit.
Melissa.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Tara.
Sorry. No, it's okay. Speaking of the fare curtailment and the service curtailment, where does that stand since the STIF funds were increased? Are we continuing that? And I don't have my agenda in front of me, so if that's an upcoming agenda item, I apologize for jumping ahead.
No, good question. So the increase is only for 2 years. And so anything that we invest in during those 2 years will need to be like one-time event investments, because we can't like ramp up a service or maintain a service and then have it go away in 2 years. So it will be a great opportunity for us to really look at our infrastructure and as we anticipate then after the 2 years, there may not only be a reduction in state funds, but we also may be feeling a reduction in federal funds. So we want to make sure that we are establishing that sound foundation in infrastructure. That will be really critical.
Question behind you there.
Yeah, I didn't have a question, but I do have just a quick comment regarding the increase in the STIP funding. So the governor has 30 weekdays to sign the bill that was passed. She has, as of Friday, had not signed it, so she has 30 work days to sign it. Once she signs that, then there is a period of time before it's actually put into law, which comes at December 29th. There is, just so you all are aware, and you might already be aware, there is a group of citizens and legislators that are putting forward a referendum which could block that STIP funding. The referendum would, if they collect enough signatures between now and the time that the bill is signed, which is December 29th, they have to collect 78,613 odd signatures, and probably additional because sometimes they don't have correct signatures. But there is this chance that we would not get that funding for the STIF if the referendum passes. The funding would be put on hold until they can verify the signatures, and then it would be put, that what they're pushing for is being put on the ballot, and it would not be put on the ballot until November. So all that time period, we would not have additional funding. But with that said, I think Melissa's strategy of looking at your infrastructure and your software and those kind of things is a great idea for this temporary funding, because there is a sunset on this funding. It's only about 2 years. So I just wanted to make sure to give you the heads up to know that this is what is happening, and there is a possibility while the bill passed, it has not been ratified. So there is still the possibility that we would not see an increase in the STIP funding.
In regards to like when we had they voted down the transportation bill earlier, it's probably the same crew that is coming involved in voting it down again in their mind. Could be. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. The audit. So staff have been actively collaborating with the CLA auditors, and for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, the district did not meet the federal spending threshold required for a single audit, which means that there will be no federally mandated testing for the major program. There will be an audit. The auditors still test all of our internal controls and all of those things. It's just that there's a small series of testing of the major program that's not conducted. And that's because the federal government wants to ensure that the oversight of federal funds is balanced with the practical challenges faced by smaller organizations when they don't spend the threshold. The district is expected to reach that threshold for the audit ending June 30th, 2026 because of the 5339 that we're investing in the purchase of our parcel. So we will have a single audit in 2026. Any questions on the audit? We will be having the auditor attend our board meeting in December. That's the plan, and that they will make their presentation at that time. Next, so I pulled the financial report, and I'm going to share my screen off of your usual part of the agenda under your consent, and I'm going to go ahead and share. Here we go. And I just wanted to highlight the report. And remind the board that when we appropriate funds at the beginning of the year, we appropriate to 3 line items: personal services, which right now is at 11% year to date; materials and services, which is 23% year to date; and capital, which we haven't spent any funds on capital at this time. So, and the district also established a contingency of 100,000. So what I'm calling your attention to is that for August, materials and services, if you are just running a straight line, that would be at about 16%, right? So we're running a little hot in materials and services. Guess what? That's because Crow Clay and myself have been really busy working on the transit center and mobility hub. And so I'm inviting you to watch that line item really carefully, because most likely we're going to be using our contingency. And then we'll also have to monitor as to whether or not we're going to do a supplemental.
And how would we do the supplemental? Where
So
would that come from?
supplemental is when we do our annual budget hearing in May, we just do a public process to increase our spending authority. And we've done supplementals in the past, so that's routine. When you have large infrastructure projects, the timing of which is always fluid.
Okay.
Any other questions about the financial report?
A question about the Crow Clay stuff you're doing. Are you doing that mostly with Anastasia, or is it other people in that firm that you're working with also?
Most of the time I'm working with Anastasia, but I also work with Tim as well.
Okay, thanks. I have a great degree of confidence in her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for all of you for what you're doing on this and making it so clear. Appreciate it.
All right, so now I'm going to move to, and I'm going to share my screen again, to ridership. So, make this just, that's a little too big. How's the size on that? Is that okay on your end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have curtailment, you start comparing number of trips prior year to the number of trips in the current year, the context is missing because you reduce services. So it's awfully difficult to say, oh, you're doing a good job. Oh, maybe we need to look at this area a little more. So I took an initial stab at how we can look at our metrics and compare apples to apples rather than a whole fruit basket. And so what I did was I took rides per revenue hour, and I went ahead and I did 5 years across. So we can see how it has fluctuated. And so if we use Bandon Dial-A-Ride, Cusco as an example, that's that first line. In 2021, we were doing 1.29 rides per hour. In 2022, 1.84 per hour. In 2023, 1.99, 2024, 2.35, and then in 2025, we dip to 2.21. And this is all the same time period. So this is year to date. So this is July and August together. And then I also provided then the average of the 5 years, 1.93. So this year, 2.21 is greater than 1.93. So thumbs up to the district for that. 2.21 is a little lower than 2.35. So, is that significant? That's pretty darn close. I wouldn't necessarily call that significant. And then the current ridership for August was 79 and year to date was 194. And that represents, a little over 2% of our service provision district-wide.
Is this in part due to less days of our, I think in line, less days offered for people to ride?
Well, so rides per revenue hour, you've removed that variable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you have an hour of service is is basically the denominator, hours of service, and then you have the number of trips. And so this way we can look at rides per revenue hour. So is this what I invite the board, if you have a thought today, that would be nice, but over the next couple of weeks, if you have thoughts about metrics, what you would like, interested in seeing, and if this is presented, that it's easy to read, all of those things, I'm interested in your feedback. I am a little concerned, and we'll be talking to continue to talk to staff. I did reach out to because Florence was down a significant amount. And so I did talk to the driver, and because July and August usually we're packed all the time, and with a lot of hikers and bikers. We didn't see the hikers and bikers this year as we usually do. I did reach out to tourism, and they indicated that tourism was down about 6 to 10% in July and August. So that would align with my driver's observation that she wasn't seeing the hikers and bikers. We're also, still comparing data when Deborah was seeing 1,000 visits per month, and that we don't see now. So that's also another variable. I think one of the priorities for this next year is really doing that educational piece to the high schools, because not only because it is a service that is extended to them for free, but also because as they become young adults, if we can share how to utilize public transportation, maybe they can delay that financing that car. They can start saving their monies for other investments. And as a way for them to succeed in their young adulthood.
Melissa, I'm really impressed with our signage at the library for Florence. But going to Florence at the casino, they switch spots. They have horrible signage at Florence for the bus. They have horrible signage in Eugene where they would get off. No one would have any idea that you could take, if you didn't have access to the website, you would have no idea that you could take a bus from the casino in Florence to Eugene, or we're in Eugene at the train station. There is zero signage. It's a miracle anyone ever gets on that bus. And
That's 100% true.
My
100%
son has
true.
taken the bus from Florence several times to here and back. But in my mind, they don't care if we ever get on the bus. It is not their problem that we have a bus coming here. They don't seem to have a care or a concern that if they put a sign up there, they would get more people riding a dang bus to Coos Bay and to Florence. Neither party, in my mind, cares. And that's why we are down in transportation, because no one knows about it, because there's no signage. The signage is brutal. And that's very frustrating from a guy who's on the transportation board. The casinos should have more compare. If they're going to move the site, they should have a sign that says transportation to Florence, to Eugene, available. This is when it goes. In Eugene, transportation to Coos Bay, Florence, this is when it goes. And don't just be rude when you ask the people inside the building, it's out there. It drives me crazy. They don't care. So
I think we could have some input with that. If we can come up with signage, I think we can get them to put the sign up. I personally would enjoy making that happen.
Well, and I do know that Lane is working on establishing a transit hub in Florence. And so there will be opportunities to build in that additional communication as they work on that project as well.
thank you.
That could do it right there.
Sorry for the tangent. I was tired of it for years. Yeah.
Maybe we just need our own route. Anything else, Melissa? From
That is all for my report.
Wonderful. Any other additional comments, questions for Melissa? Melissa, thank you so much for all of that lovely information. That will now lead us into item 10, which is citizen comments on non-agenda items. Again, limited to 3 minutes, and same spiel as before. Thank you to people who are waiting, and I am gonna go, Carrie, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to just make a couple comments, and these were agenda items. I just didn't look at the agenda earlier. So the comment Melissa made about reaching out to the high schools, great idea, especially if there's less scary people riding the bus. I'll say as a parent and as a grandma, I wouldn't want my teenage kids with some of the people that I know have previously been on the buses. So that's just kind of like a parent-grandparent concern to throw out there. The other thing I want to talk about is moving forward with looking at bus purchasing, learning lessons like the last 2 new buses that were purchased. They have a low clearance as you walk in, and you guys put up the padding, which is great, so we're not hitting heads. And the passageway is really narrow. So just things to be concerned about when you're looking to get buses. I know you put out the bid for proposal and all that stuff, but just things to be aware of. And the other thing is, if you're prioritizing vehicles that may need to be replaced, that big green van that you guys use for the paratransit, the dial-a-ride, is not very friendly. You know, it's difficult to get in and out of because it's several steps. and it's not, it's just not the friendliest if you have more than one person. You know, maybe two, it rides three. But when my husband and I have been on there with our guide dogs, it's hard to keep our dogs safe because traditionally we put them under the seat. Well, at least I do. I try to put mine under the seat between my feet. And, you know, sitting in the very front seat with that is scrunched for my dog and I to do that. So, you know, I would love to see that bus not show up again, that van picking me up. So thank you for all the work you guys are doing and really exciting about the transit station.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for being here and making that comment. Michael, go ahead. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so one thing, as Carrie said, go alongside and thank you guys for everything it's doing. Super excited to explore how this transit center is going to go together. I just wanted to bring something to the attention of you guys, and I don't know that there's a resolution at this time, but I want to open the communications about that. I've had two individuals reach out to me who are blind or visually impaired and make me aware of the fact that at times there are inconsistencies to where buses stop, and there have often been times where individuals may have missed the bus because the bus stopped maybe on, maybe they turned left when they went into a parking lot and normally they go right. The suggestion was brought to my attention. I don't know if this is feasible, but well, let me take a step back. The other concern was the fact that the bus had stopped in front of the individual, but the driver hadn't acknowledged that there was someone standing there, which I don't know if that's part of training, but it almost drove off. And luckily someone was sitting next to the individual and said, "Hey, aren't you getting on the bus?" And he was able to get up and go get on the bus at that point. I've seen in other districts the fact that buses have outside speakers that let individuals know when they stop that this is what bus it is, so they're aware of the fact that the bus is actually there. And if the location of the bus has moved, this would give an audible cue for blind or sight impaired individuals to be able to locate the bus if for some reason it parks in a different location. So I just wanted to bring those two concerns up because I think it's very valid. And I would personally hate getting stuck in, I don't know, Lakeside, for example, because the next bus doesn't come for several hours and it doesn't go the way I needed it to go. So thank you guys.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Excellent comments. And I'm sure Melissa can be in touch with you about that. Do we have anybody else here for public comment on a non-agenda item? Looking into the internet world, going once, twice, and three times. Okay, I will close that public comment section of our meeting. Our next meeting of our board will be November 10th, November 10th, 2025, 9 a.m. Board, thank you so much for being here. Staff, thank you for all the work. Any other closing comments from anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, wonderful then. I will adjourn this meeting at 10:05 and everybody have a wonderful rest of your Monday.